First, I'll talk about the mystery of Aburaya and Ghibli. Here is a concept art of Aburaya, where Chihiro gets sent to, or works at. It looks like a magnificent Japanese-style architecture. However, if you look closely, this lower half is made of concrete. The upper half looks gorgeous, but the only part that's gorgeous, well, how should I say? It's the penthouse of Yubaba, which looks so cool. This is like the captain's cabin of an old sailing ship, or the one in Space Pirate Captain Harlock, where only the captain's cabin is gorgeously designed. This part looks so beautiful, but in fact, the place where the guests drink and play is limited to a very narrow space around here, and all other luxurious areas are parts of Yubaba's penthouse. In the initial plan, do you see how there's something sticking out over here? It actually says toilet, and it's non-flush toilet. By having a toilet in this location and the poo or pee fall from here all the way down to the ground. Now, let's see how it looks like from the side. So, this is also an image board that Miyazaki drew in the early stage. As I mentioned earlier, this magnificent and cool-looking part is Yubaba's penthouse. But here, they say guest room. This is one of the first drawings that Miyazaki made. It doesn't have Yubaba's gorgeous penthouse yet. The lower half of the building is made of concrete, as I said before. Here's the main gate. Here you see the bathroom, which is an atrium. And there are guest rooms around it, with the employees' dormitories at the back. The first half has the watcher's seat and the bathroom, the second floor is the atrium, the third and the fourth floors are guest rooms, and finally Yubaba's penthouse is on the fifth floor and up. Miyazaki calls this building quasi-Western style. It's a terminology of architecture, and quasi means to simulate. What it means is that as you can see from the huge boiler house below, as I said earlier, this is made of concrete. In other words, it's not a Japanese-style architecture, but a fake version made of concrete. Any Japanese-style architecture that has adopted the technology of Western architecture is called quasi-Western style in architectural industry. Many of the buildings in this style were built during the Meiji era by the carpenters who weren't so sure about how to build so-called Western architecture. They imitated its appearance with the new materials and plans to make buildings that looked like Western buildings, but also couldn't help adding huge Japanese tiles on top. So that's how this style started. But this is Miyazaki's intensive message, which tells us how this style also signifies the technology of Japanese animation, because Japanese animation is only an imitation of Western art form that Disney and others started, with an addition of superficial decoration in Japanese aesthetics. Miyazaki himself often says that all today's Japanese animation do is to decorate what the West has started with its own aesthetics. That's why it can be described as quasi-Western style. This building is actually a powerful irony towards Princess Mononoke, which is Miyazaki's his own work. No matter how all these domestic subjects during the Muromachi period and the Jomon period are portrayed, how the theory of cultural sphere marked by laurel forest is applied, how Japanese methodologies are pictured, animation is originally Western in terms of technology and film grammar. Miyazaki is pointing out how everything that he makes is merely quasi-Western style because of that. In other words, Aburaya as well as Princess Mononoke, which is his previous work, signifies Studio Ghibli itself. The women who work there are the staff members of Ghibli during the production of Princess Mononoke. There were some troubles and many animators quit. Then the majority of the newcomers were females. At one point, people said, oh, there are only girls working for Ghibli, because they consisted mostly of new female employees. By collecting all those female animators, Yubaba, or the producer Suzuki, commanded that the next movie had to be a hit. Not only because Ghibli became so huge, but their another animation director, Isao Takahata, spent their money like water without doubting the expense. So they had to make anime that satisfied the audience's desires with these female animators, just like having female employees work in a quasi-Western style architecture to satisfy the desires of the customers. Aburaya holds such a strong message, guests are gods, and Ghibli's mission is to make fun animation endlessly in order to please them. Miyazaki is trying to say that his job is exactly like the job of Aburaya. In fact, one of the themes behind Spirited Away was criticism towards Ghibli, which was becoming greedier and greedier. It's also a criticism against Suzuki. Catchlines such as that Aburaya is a whorehouse that critics would love to hear were created in order to create ambiguity so that critics won't know the real theme.
Thank you for watching until the end. I am the most famous otaku king in Japan, Otaking Toshio Okada. Thanks.